Hey everybody, welcome back to Recall the Moment podcast. My name is Josh, I am the vocalist of the band, and I have no idea how I keep getting this lucky, but today, Pharsalia's here. Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
Please, by all means, introduce yourself. What do you do?
My name is Stephen Ciccaglione, and currently I am the vocalist of Pharsalia.
All right, dude. How has that been?
It's been an adventure. As I was telling you before we started rolling, this project is we kind of revamped it over the last year. You know, we had been making music prior, and about 4 years ago, I had a baby girl, Luna, and things got kind of put on hold. But when we came back around, I went from playing guitar and doing some backup vocals to a full-on vocalist, and it has been an adventure. The guys laugh at me a lot because it took me a little while to get comfortable on stage again. It is a huge adjustment.
Right.
I had this wooden box that I brought it to the Johnny Craig show. That was our first show, was with Johnny Craig. And they're like, why are you bringing that? I'm like, because I don't know it's like the Ricky Bobby thing. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, that's how it felt. Like, I was so used to being behind a guitar that me just standing there with a mic in my hand, I just felt naked.
Right.
So it's been an adjustment, but you know, we hit the ground running with that show. We've been busy all year. I think we've played probably like 15 shows just since March.
Yeah, I've seen you guys have been definitely busy.
Yeah, to the point where we had to actually like carve out some time coming into this fall to work on our sophomore record, because we released our first EP, Things I Never Got to Say.
Right.
That was back I think we released that in March.
Oh, okay.
So again, this is like this rendition of the band. We got together not this past April, but the year before that, to start practicing and everything. And it was all new music, newish members. Like, we added a couple guys and stuff, but it's basically, even though it's the same name we had prior, it's basically a whole new band. So
right, yeah,
it's been really cool so far.
I have seen a handful of times on your posts or Pharsalia's posts, Elder Emo. And I kind of think my band also fits into that as well, but I'm not really sure. Could you please tell me what is Elder Emo?
So it's just, we were actually talking about this not too long ago. So there's like this resurgence right now where like it's coming back hardcore. Like, the things, I laugh about it because now it's like this huge trend. It's like a TikTok trend, basically. And I remember, like, when I was in high school, like, I was the emo kid, you know, black band shirts, went to all the shows, the I Heart Boobies bracelets and everything else like that, studded belts. And it was like, what are you doing? And now it's like the big thing, and I'm like, no, you don't get to like have all friends and dress like that. Like, I was ridiculed for it, but it's basically just you know, we're in our 30s now, most of the guys in the band grew up on, you know, Hawthorne Heights, Under Oath. 2 Days, my favorite band of all time. I still listen to the same like 8 core bands that I did when I was in high school. So it's very much in that sense of, it's not a phase. Like, we never grew out of it. We just got a little older, and I can't mosh nearly as much when I go to shows.
Oh, you can't mosh no more?
I can get it just a little bit, but the next day it's like, oh God, that wasn't good.
I mean, I get it. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm also in my 30s, like 35 now, and I do feel that a little bit as well, you know. And I have noticed a bit of a resurgence, like, in that kind of a music scene. I've also noticed it in Delaware a lot of resurgence of just Delaware bands in general. You're seeing them pop out of the woodworks now, and most of them are like really good.
It's so funny because we've been playing like all these local shows, and we either play really far north or really far south. There's like no in between. It's not like when we were younger and there was like the Venue in Dover, Circles in Milford, Coyotes, and I think
CC22,
CC22, exactly. So there used to be like every 15, 20 miles there was like a venue, and there was shows almost every weekend. You know, during the time that I was playing back then, it was like every weekend, like Vegas, Resistance, Of the Fallen, Save the Bride, like He's the Hero. All these bands were just playing like every weekend, and you went to every show.
Yep, you did.
And now it's like all these bands are popping up, and when we play, like, you know, we've been doing this for a while, so we feel pretty polished when we step on stage. And I'm always like dumbfounded when these bands I've never heard of play, either before us or after us. I'm like, holy shit, these guys are good.
Really good.
And it just sucks that there's like almost zero infrastructure in Delaware to support that these days. Like, you have to travel out.
Yeah, and it's kind of our fault as kids. I kind of feel like, because if you remember, a lot of the venues stopped doing it because of the fights that were happening and things like that. So,
oh, man, story time. I'll never forget. So if you're familiar with Circles, we were playing there a lot.
I played there. Yeah,
we were playing there a lot, like right before they shut it down. Tammy Kaup was kind of running the shows there. And I just remember we played with in Alcatraz 1962.
Okay.
And it was this huge show, and they had just done like one of the suicide prevention shows. That was back when like the Polytech incidences were happening. And I just remember there was this girl, and she, trying to be cute, walked into the pit. And if anybody's familiar with, he was there, and that guy he was a monster. Yeah. Like, my size, but just like ruthless, like old school beat down, and as soon as she started inching her way in, he threw an arm back, knocked her out clean. She fell down, hit her head on a table on the way down. The following show was the Alcatraz show, and they were like, yeah, no moshing. I'm like, you invited legions.
Right.
Legions and Alcatraz are playing tonight. I'm like, there's no way somebody's not going to mosh. And then it was, oh God, what is his name? I can't remember.
Well, we'll kind of refrain from names anyway, because it's going on here and stuff. So
but like he just couldn't help himself. He started moshing. Security went to go get him out of the place because he broke the rule and was moshing. And as soon as all the security guys were outside, that place just opened up. And that was the last show they did. Because for like a solid 2 minutes, that place was just a war zone.
Right. Yeah, and that's how it was. Like, we played a lot at the Hartley Fire Hall in my old previous band. And there were always fights out in the parking lot. There was always moshing going on. But I mean, like, I like fights as in they weren't trying to mosh and ended up fighting. It was always take it out to the parking lot and everybody beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
And like, that's when it kind of died down. And then same thing started happening in CC22s. So it got shut down. And it's just like one by one by one. You remember the Wagon Wheel?
I do. We played one of the last shows at the Wagon Wheel, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I do attribute that to, like, our generation's previous bands. Like, the reason why there's not as many out there now that are willing to do so.
I agree.
But I've been seeing a lot more pop up recently that are starting to brave it out and see if they can, kind of do the shows again. A few in Dover. I've seen, I think, 2 in Milford.
Miss Pillion,
yep, in Milford. So, I mean, it's one of those things that, like, maybe it's a forgive and forget.
Unfortunately, that brewery, and if you're talking about the one in Dover, that brewery that was kind of tucked behind Target.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, Fordham was what it was called.
Fordham, yeah,
They just shut down.
Did they?
Yeah, we hosted, our drummer Finney had we threw a benefit for him because he was involved in an accident. Yeah. And, we were trying to raise money for it. We threw that. And then there was Fordham. Well, this guy, the gentleman's name was Chris, that was like kind of running things there. And he was amazing. Like, we went there to do the benefit. They were so accommodating. I went to go buy drinks for me and my girlfriend. And he was just like, no, you drink for free. I was like, don't say that.
Okay.
So, no, great place. But I think it was just location killed them.
So how's Finney holding up now?
He's good. We played a show, or we did a live taping at the Coast Show up in Wilmington. And he went with us. He's doing really good. He's back to work and in great spirits and just being Finney, which if anybody knows Finney, they know, like, he's a character. Yeah. Finney's like his own breed, man.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, like, I haven't had that many, like, connections with him and stuff, but we have talked back and forth here and there. And he's always been nice and kind to me. And when I had just got done telling you that, like, the first time I had talked to him really was when he released a solo album.
Yes.
And dude, it was amazing. Like, I listened to that, like, so many times as it came out, and dude, it was so fun. So his writing, you can kind of tell, you have mentioned it before in other shows and things like that he really does help attribute to the writing of your new music in Pharsalia.
Yes.
So that's just, like, really cool for the drummer to be really kind of more of a part of it, because there's a lot of bands out there that, like, everyone else does stuff, and then the drummer kind of just sits back and makes a beat to it.
Yeah.
So I like that idea. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was kind of like that for a long. Like I said, this is a whole new chapter for Pharsalia. But like prior to that, like basically all the music that we released prior to Things I Never Got to Say was music I wrote.
Right.
So I wrote bass, I wrote guitars, I wrote the vocals, and then I would write his drum parts, and then he would come in and like kind of doctor them up.
Right.
And this last release, Things I Never Got to Say, which was a really personal release. He wrote 2 of the songs on that album, I think.
Okay.
And then there's 2 of the songs on the next one we're working on. It's actually a 2-part EP.
Oh, okay.
So it's I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying this. So it's
don't get in trouble.
No. They can't do anything. I'm the vocalist. That's the perks. I get to say off the wall things, and they just kind of that's Stephen. But no, it's we kind of talked about it when we did the release. It's a 2-part EP. Things I Never Got to Say is very much a telling of probably one of the darkest times of my life. I went through a separation with the mother of my child, and with that came a lot of anxiety, depression, things that I had never really dealt with in my life prior, and it sparked a lot of inspiration. And then this new EP that we're working on, it's called Recovery.
Okay.
And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's
very cool. Very cool.
It's very much me pulling out of it. There's still some dark elements towards the beginning of that EP, but progressively you can see how it, kind of works out. And actually, I am giving away a huge secret here, but it ends with a song that I wrote for my daughter, which being in an emo band, it is the first song I've written about a girl that wasn't like, you broke my heart. Like, you're so mean. Like it's
that's really sweet. I'm sure she's going to be very excited to hear it.
Oh, I hope so.
Has she gotten like any like little snippets before anybody else yet? Like a sneak peek of it?
Not towards that. She's turning 4 in September, so she's still pretty young.
Oh, okay.
And we're still in like the Frozen soundtrack with her. I'm trying. It's so funny because her mother and I, one of the things that like really bonded us together when we first got together was our taste in music. We're both like elder emos,
right,
into the heavier stuff, and like she is like a total princess. Like today she went to school in like pink dress, ruffles on her socks and a princess crown. I'm like, I don't understand how 2 emo kids had the most princess oriented kid in the world. Like, so I don't even know if she'll ever even like my music.
Maybe it's just a phase.
Hopefully. I don't know. That's what they told me. So
true. So you were on recently the Co Show, if I am saying that properly. Is that correct?
Correct. The Co Show.
I did see Finney in the background of that here and there too, and pictures on your Facebook as well.
He's our little gremlin.
He's your gremlin.
Always like hanging around the background. It was a cool experience. So like I think we were only like taping 20 something. Like they're very early on. They just started. Originally, it was them kind of live streaming their practices. They have a band, the guys who run it, and they were like, well, let's bring another band in and record them. And when you go there, like it's in their basement. They have like a studio set up down there, and
it's probably smoking hot down there too.
Dude, listen, you have no idea. I lost 15 pounds that show.
Oh my!
No, it was amazingly hot, and of course, I'm like, I'm the big kid, so I always have to have my security blanket. When I was young, it was hoodies, and then like it graduated to I have like a black denim vest that I wear everywhere, and I wanted to take it off so bad, and I was like, don't do it, you look so good.
Right.
But it was sweltering hot down there, but their production is like, they're still building on it and finding ways to make it better, but like we were just blown away by how amazing the video work was. And then they're going to send us like remastered versions of each song.
That's really cool. Okay.
So it's definitely a really cool production. Anybody who's got like a local band, I would recommend reaching out to them. They're awesome people, very accommodating, and they made it so fun.
All right, man. Yeah. I like the idea that they're doing out there. Like I had said, I hadn't really heard of them prior to your and I conversation about, like a week ago or so by now. And it's really cool setup that they've got out there. You could tell it was going to be pretty hot.
Oh, yeah.
But he kept everything kind of moving, kind of going, and he's got a lot of content already on his YouTube channel too for everybody to go check out too.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked to kind of go through that and kind of relearn or learn about new bands that I hadn't heard of.
Oh yeah, I mean the band we played that night, we played with, because they do split sets. Yeah, they were called Soundsylvania, and they're these three friends that have just grown up playing music together, and they take like these huge sabbaticals where the one guy's traveling, but they've played in like Europe and
wow,
all these foreign locations, because he goes and does like, I think he said he does like missionary work or something.
Wow.
And they're just like, hey, I'm going to be here, helping lay brick for 3 weeks, like jump on a plane, bring your instruments, let's put some shows together. And so they kind of do that, but like they just, again, one of those hidden gems where it's like we had never heard of them. And I listened to their music and I was like, that's good. But then when we watched their set, I was like, these guys are amazing.
Like, there's a lot of content on that channel, and plenty of bands to go through. So you guys, you had mentioned the missionary. You guys aren't doing missionary work, but you guys are definitely doing a lot of charity benefits and things like that, or at least that's what it appears to be on the Facebook.
We're open to things. We actually, our next gig is a charity event. It's the Kate Hall Wiffle Ball Tournament.
Okay.
I never get tired of saying that. Kate Hall Wiffle Ball, and it's in Hatboro, PA, and essentially what they do is they have this huge tournament. I think he said there's up to like 40 teams that play.
Oh, wow.
It's an all-day event. You pay an entry fee to get in. We have a team, Go Pharsalia.
All right.
Basically, we're bringing a couple of our friends. Castle Adams going to play the last word. Our friend Mike Clark going to make a day of it. But basically, any of the proceeds that go to that event, it's donated to a local family in need. And I hope I'm not messing this up. Last year, I do believe it was a young girl with cancer.
Oh, okay.
And they raised a ton of money. I mean, it's a very good program that they have. And this year, I believe it's a family that multiple members have some kind of blood disorder or something. I don't want to say something wrong, but I think that's the information that I had heard. And then just anything that they make off of it, it's completely nonprofit. It all goes to them.
Now, what goes into like a set list for you guys? Like, because you said you guys have revamped recently this year and stuff like that. So, like, are you only playing the shows that the songs that you're working on now? Are you going back and doing older songs from previous years of the band, even though it's a different iteration?
Well, I guess it depends on how you look at it. We have one song that technically was written. No, I guess all of them were kind of written. So when we got together, basically the way that it worked was me and Trey and Finney had been playing together for a long time. I had this back catalog during COVID that while we weren't doing anything, I was home, with the baby and stuff. I would just start writing music. I kind of created my own home studio at the time. And so I had like 4 or 5 songs. I was just like, I'm dying to use these. And then Brett came to the band and he was like, hey, I've got this entire EP. And then Finney, of course, like he was working on the XCOM stuff, his solo project. He was like, yeah, I've got like 2 or 3 songs that like could fit into my stuff, but like we could also use it for this project. So, and then we've actually kept writing since then. So like a lot of the songs that made it onto the EP, the first one, were songs that like we had been sitting on for like collectively like 2 or 3 years, just like I had been sitting on mine, he had been sitting on his. So Friends Don't Lie, which we did with Dane Melvin, definitely look him up if you've never heard of Dane Melvin. He is amazing. But that song was written during COVID, recorded and released during COVID, and that is the only song in the set that has survived pre us all getting together last April and going, let's do this.
Okay.
So
yeah, because there were different, versions of the band, is what you have kind of like explained to me. So I figured I would ask, like
we were much heavier.
Oh yeah,
it's funny because I always tell people, I'm like, we used to love playing down in like the Salisbury area, or they call it the Bury, and they don't accept us anymore. Like we're too dad rock for them. So so we're looking for an excuse to play down. You got too emo
for them or something.
Yeah, not enough. We used to be like, it was all screams and then like the pretty choruses I would sing during the choruses.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a good scream. Recall the moment is like 50-50 on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's still some heavy parts in our music, but I think it's more geared towards like a broader audience, the stuff we're doing these days. We didn't want to limit ourselves to just like the hardcore scene. Like it's something where when we play out, like even we've had older people approach us, in their 40s and 50s and go, hey man, you guys rock.
That's
like,
really cool.
You would not have been saying that if you saw us 4 years ago,
Well, yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
You never know. Everybody's kind of, their taste has changed. You've seen a lot of newer, like kind of screamo bands, like on regular radio and stuff like that nowadays.
That's true.
So you might be surprised on what people actually care about and what they listen to. Eric Blackway, you are working with him for a track at least, yes?
So, in the works, we have one track that's, I guess, about 80% of the way done. We're just doing some last-minute things to it.
Okay.
But it's called Stubborn. It was actually originally slotted for the first EP, which we self-produced. Mm-hmm. And it didn't end up making it. It got cut on the cutting room floor. And we were like, all right, well, if we're going to do a single, we'll do that. And it was kind of like just feeling out. We knew what Eric could do, but we wanted to see how we felt about working with him.
Right.
And it was an amazing process.
It's always weird meeting new people.
Yeah. Well, we had all known Eric for a long time. We just, when you have that many personalities in the band, like producing the EP together, I don't recommend it. I don't like, that's what I told him when we got done. I'm like, we did it. Like, it turned out great. People seem to like it. So, but I was like, I don't ever recommend doing that again because there was just so many opinions and there was nobody on the outside going, hey, like, that's cool. But like, let's try this.
Right. Now, are you going to be like searching around for other producers, or you think you might be sticking with him for a little while? Or
I think at this point the goal is we're going to finish up this single with Eric, and then of course we've already talked with him about the next EP.
Future
I think we're going to keep with him. I like the way we worked with him, and it just seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, he's really great.
Awesome guy.
He really is. He's like I said before, quickly becoming one of my best friends. He does all Recall the Moment stuff like that. We've worked really closely on that kind of stuff. And in October, check out October, because that's when Ridicule comes out, and it's going to be really cool. But I can't say enough great things about it. I mean, he has always just been a good guy, and seeing what he can do just as quick as a whip with the production stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, out of this world. So,
and you get to play with cats when you're there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's your little buddy sitting up there with him.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, well, we're running kind of down on some of the things I did want to talk about. Some of it's just more like random stuff, like AI in music, for example. Everybody's kind of got their own opinions on AI here soon. It's been talked about quite a lot. A lot of people are using AI. I personally use AI for our music videos and Recall the Moment and stuff. Have you had any experiences with AI being introduced to your band or possibly in the future?
So I haven't had any personal experiences with like AI in the music standpoint. Like, so like we're living in an industry where everything's, MIDI programmed. We always make this joke, and Trey's going to hate me. We make fun of Trey a lot. The bass player gets like zero love. But like I always tell him, like, you're one mistake away from being replaced by a laptop.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, usually when I present them with a song, like I've already gone through and I've MIDI mapped all the drums.
Right.
I've MIDI mapped all the bass parts, and I'm just like, here. And they as things come up, like they'll tweak it here and there, to their liking and stuff. But for the most part, usually what I hand them is basically what the final result ends up being.
Right.
So like I guess on that point of it, like I'm cool with that. From where production was when I was a teenager trying to become a musician and stuff. Like I love the ease of it. Like I'm not saying my recordings are something that I would market as like a professional stamp,
right?
But I love that I can get close enough that I can show it to somebody and they can grasp it.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I could hear that, that was something I would jam to, and it's just like that little extra is what separates somebody like me from somebody like Eric. He's more polished, more refined, his workflow's a lot better. It's something he does for a living, whereas for me it's just, if I get an idea, I track it out. So the convenience of like VSTs and, I just got like the amp hub and I have every amp that I've ever owned at my fingertips. The drums, I use Perfect Drums. I've been looking at the Matt Greiner Drum Forge just to play around with it. And like all of that I think is amazing. But like when you get into like the actual AI, I know like, I think I heard something about like they released, what was it? One of the old hip hop stars. I can't think of his name. Tupac.
Oh, okay.
So they did like an AI like Tupac song.
I've seen that. I've seen somebody copied over Drake's voice,
or maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was Drake too.
Together with like Justin Timberlake and all kinds of stuff, like doing like way different. Some of them are kind of out of this world, and you wouldn't believe them to be in those kinds of musical situations. But others, you'd never know.
Yeah.
And that's the creepy part to me. And I use AI, and like I said, Recall the Moment, every image that you've seen on Recall the Moment that's like not me or Justice's face has been AI generated.
Okay.
Every single bit of it has been AI generated.
Huh.
So that's where we are with it. We use it for music videos, for images and things like that. We used it for the album covers. But we haven't used any for like actual music production.
I think Dance Gavin Dance, they wrote a song for their late bass player, and they released a music video that was like his face over AI videos, and he was like a protector of the universe. It was very Luke Skywalker-esque. Like I guess in that standpoint, I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I also though, like, I'm a fan of the underdog and people who, you know, devote their life to something. I've got friends who are in photography, and they're like, I can't believe I spent all this money on a college degree, and now they've got a computer program that just does it.
Right.
And same thing with music. Like, it was already getting to the point where it was almost too easy to do something at home, where it kind of takes away from, like, you know, my buddy Andrew Bayless, he used to be the guitarist of Life on Repeat. He produces like Jelly Roll now. Like, he's like a multi-platinum record producer.
That's really cool.
And it's like, he started off with like a Mac and like a little, you know, interface and stuff, recording the local bands around here, and built his way up to it. And now you've got these people that, like, if you've got $1,500 to spend on a home setup, you can almost get there, because they're making these plugins that take all the guesswork out. And it's still just that little bit that separates, you know, paying $300 for a song versus paying $1,500 for a song.
How far do you think we are down the road until every band's the Gorillaz? Nobody knows them, nobody sees them. It's just pictures and images, and then the background music is all AI.
I don't know, because like the Gorillaz, that was their shtick. Like, that was like their thing.
There's going to be other bands out there.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, for people, like for me personally, like, I can listen to a record, for instance, what was the Wage War? So I had a buddy who kept trying to get me into Wage War. We were working construction at the time, and every morning he would play Wage War's Blueprints album. And I was like, yeah, they're all right. They're all right. And then we went to Warped Tour Columbia one year, and they opened up the stage. And I was like, holy shit, these guys rip. And it's just like, I don't, you know, whatever happens in the studio happens in the studio. But like, I don't think anything for me personally will ever replace that moment. You know, like when you're seeing, when I saw Under Oath for the first time, I saw the Rebirth tour, which they played in, which is now the Ben Franklin Observatory, I think, but it was the Electric Factory. And I had watched their early 2000s DVD that was shot at the Electric Factory, the Survive Kaleidoscope. And it was just such a, like, I can't believe I'm here at the place that video was shot, watching my favorite band of all time. And like, it brought tears to my eyes. Like, I literally cried during that show. And there's just something to be said about that, where like, I don't think AI can ever replace that.
Maybe not for us. Maybe not for the older generation, but I do have kind of a feeling with more technology. Look, our kids are getting technology a lot faster than we did when we were kids. They're accelerating it at a rate that nobody's ever seen before. I feel like by the time we're, you know, our parents' age and our kids are all grown up, I have a 5-year-old son, and I feel like I've seen it in him. Like, he can operate a Nintendo Switch better than any of us in the house.
I feel that.
So when he's my age, maybe they don't care about it as much.
Well, I think that goes into a whole nother topic of conversation, where it's like,
you might be right.
The age of like TikTok. Like, TikTok has, I think, changed the world in a way that some people don't even fathom. Like,
true.
It has made information so accessible, and even for like political standpoints, like it's almost impossible to get away with anything now. Yeah. But then again, like, that overload of information, I do think that this younger generation, like, it's going to take so much to wow them. Like, you think about it, in the last year, the government on multiple occasions has like been like, hey, aliens exist. And we're just like, virus. There's COVID. like what else is going to happen? Like
we need groceries.
yeah. Aliens exist, but like eggs are like $9 a carton. So like take me to a planet where they're cheaper, So it's just, it's going to take, I do believe you're right. This younger generation, they might not live for those moments like we did. That might be a relic of the past.
Their moments are going to look a lot more digital than ours. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I almost feel like it's a golden age. Maybe that's why I've seen almost like a renaissance in Delaware with the bigger scenes. We've talked about that before. And like maybe that's why like all of us are kind of seeing like the writing on the wall. So we're trying to get ourselves out there now before it's over. So I don't know. It's almost depressing.
Well,
but exciting because we're living in it. Like right now, you and I, we're writing music. We're doing what we always wanted to do. Our kids might not grow up like that, and their vision's going to be they want to be a TikTok influencer. Their vision's going to be a YouTube influencer.
Oh, for sure.
So, and it's I feel like going to be harder to find people that are like, oh, I want to be a musician.
Well, even in our generation, man, it's fading. Like I said, most of the musicians that I grew up playing shows with, like Vegas, Resistance, Save the Bride, like some of those guys are still like, I think like Vegas like pops up out of nowhere, or they have a new band, Numbskull. Okay. And they do things like here and there, but it's like, I don't know that there's a lot of bands pushing like we are, and it's not like we're trying to get anywhere, and it doesn't make us more driven than them, or better in any way. Like they're very talented musicians, but it's just like you get to our age, and it at some point like it becomes more of a hobby.
The family's more important.
Exactly.
This is the enjoyment,
and like we found a way to make that work. With our scheduling and everything. Like we found a way to make it. Even still, sometimes like there's like stretches where I'm like, man, I have not had a Saturday in like months.
Right.
And it's like it would be nice to just sleep in for a Saturday, but yeah, it's. I think you're right. Even with our generation, it's slowly becoming a thing of the past. Like everybody's putting music out, but nobody's taking the time to perform.
There's just so much out there. There's so much out there. Like so many bands have produced another album, another video, and then you got all the new people coming in, and then they're producing albums and singles and stuff like that. So there's only so much time in a day to sit down and listen to your favorite tracks.
Yeah.
And that's playing a little bit of a role. It's like I can't listen to every band I wanted to listen to today.
Yeah.
Because it's so much now. But you want to be able to catch up the best you can. So it's like kind of like spreading the pot a little bit almost. To where like you want to be able to support this one band, but this other band just released a track. And you want to make sure you catch that one. So you kind of forget that one's there, and then it's just disappeared almost out of the back of your head. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. We're going to move on. I've been told there is a story behind Gravity Killer.
Behind the name?
I don't know. I've just been told to ask about the Gravity Killer story.
Gotcha. So, Gravity Killer, the song, actually, a lot of people thought that it was about my ex, but it actually was about this very brief relationship I had. And the song's more so about, like, we didn't have, like, this crazy bad breakup or something. We weren't in love or anything. But I wasn't in a place mentally to...
Right.
To be there in a relationship with somebody. So I kind of, broken their heart a little bit. And like the song basically tells a story about like my guilt of that. Like she moved on, she's in a relationship with somebody. I've moved on. I'm in a relationship with an amazing woman. And like we're both fine.
Right.
But like, it was just like for a while there I was hung up on that, like my trauma hurt somebody else. So the song's about that. I think the story that and I tell all you gotta do is come to a show and you'll get it. But this song, like when it was presented to us, it was actually Brett had written this song. Brett and Matt, our guitarist and drummer, and they brought it to me. I was like, that song is so early 2000s emo. Like I love it. It's the poppiest song in our set by far. And I I named it Wake Up Gravity Killer Shots Fired, which is a total Coheed name.
Right.
And I was like, I love it. It's perfect. Our bass player, as much as he like promotes this elder emo thing, he's not an elder emo. No, he grew up on like Slayer and Metallica, and like these days he's like huge into like Baroness and like Mastodon and Moontooth, bands like that. Like he listens to heavy stuff, but when it comes to like the core emo stuff, like he knows it, but I don't know that he like lived it.
Right.
Like, you know, for me, like it wasn't like a genre of music. It was like I lived that lifestyle. And I think at that time he was more like Pantera, you know? So like he didn't understand the long title. So it was Wake Up Gravity Killer Shots Fired. And then like when we released it, I was like, hey, it only says Gravity Killer on the thing. He goes, yeah, that's the name. I was like, no, it's not. He's like, well, that's what we've been calling it for 2 months. I'm like, yeah, we hyphenated.
That's what
like,
you've been calling it for 2
I was
months.
No, we shortened it so I didn't have to say the whole title every single time. I'm like, but he's like, that name was crazy long. I'm not calling it that. And I'm like, you have ruined this song for me. I'm like, the whole point was it was like very reminiscent of like that, Destroy, Rebuild Until God shows, you know, like that whole era of Hawthorne Heights, Drugs, Emarosa, you know, He's Too Close, I'm Switching to Guns, like those kinds of name styles. I was like, it was perfect. And like he shortened it. So my revenge is every single show when we play that song, I start off by telling that story.
Okay.
He just kind of tucks his tail and he's like, here we go. But it was like, I'll never forgive you for that.
Oh man,
it's cool.
Oh man. All right, well, thank you for sharing that with me. I was told to ask about it. Nobody told me what the story was behind it.
Gotcha.
So, it was just like in talks. I was like, hey, Pharsalia is coming out to one of our friends, and they're like, hey, ask about Gravity Killer. Okay. So man, we're kind of getting close. Is there any future shows, upcoming events you guys are doing that you could share?
Right now, really on the schedule, all we have is the Cat Hall wiffle ball tournament.
You love saying that.
I do. It brings a smile on my face every time. That's the only thing we have on the books. I think we've been so busy since March. Like we had spent probably the better part of 4 months getting ready for that first show with Johnny Craig at halftime, because it was like one of my childhood idols. You know, we were opening up for him, and we had spent so much time getting ready for that. And then once that happened, shows just kept lining up, and we've been so busy ever since. And it's like, hey, if we're gonna do this record, like we need to open it up.
Have time to write and record the record.
Yeah,
right, gotcha. Yeah.
So I think we've got everything kind of demoed now. We're just going through, picking out which songs, because we have like a back catalog that's, you know, a mile long right now, which is amazing. And I think we're just taking our time, flushing out the perfect list, and enjoying our fall. We're all big on spooky season, so we're just gonna take our time, enjoy, you know, Halloween, and then we'll pick things up later fall and start booking shows again.
All right, man. Well, do you have any you mentioned before you had sponsors. Do you have to make a mention?
So we currently we are sponsored by Quick Motorsports. My guy Billy is a racer there. They totally dominated the track. They were down there in Georgetown. I forget what other tracks what other circuits they go through, but like every time I checked their Facebook, they were first place. They had at least one member that was placing something in one of the different categories. So they're killing it. Quick Motorsports. Amazing guys, and they've been using our music for their videos, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
And then Phoebe's Distilling, again, a distillery down south. They're one of our sponsors. And then, of course, we have Sam Dawson Photography. Our drummer, Matt Dawson, his wife is going to be taking care of most of our photography moving forward. So she's got a really awesome page on Instagram. You can probably find it by going to our page and looking at live photos and stuff. We usually tag her. So, but she's
great to have like
coming
in-house help, you know.
It's been amazing because photographers, and it goes back to like what we were talking about earlier, like when we were in the music scene before, like when I was a kid in high school, like everybody had a camera.
Yeah.
Everybody had a Canon Rebel or you know, whatever, and like they're like, oh yeah, I'm a photographer. I'm like, okay, bet.
Yeah.
There was a show, there's anywhere between 3 to 5 people just taking pictures and sending you pictures, and they were all going to be photographers. Now that we're all adults, like they're either professional photographers, and like it's an expensive fee, which it's worth it. That is their trade.
It really is. Yeah.
But with what we're doing, this is just fun for us. So we're just having fun as some dads making music. We try to keep the cost as little as possible.
I feel that. I feel that every little bit of everything is expensive to do.
It certainly is. We're planning for a lot of things in this next year, and like, you know, just in the last year, getting the merch off the ground, the record, all the, you know, everything we had to do for promotion and stuff. I mean, it does get expensive, and we've lucked out that you know, Sam's kind of stepped into the picture, and you know, we found a way to work with her, and she keeps the costs low for us because, you know, her husband is in the band, but we also still make sure that we support her, you know, financially. Absolutely, and you know, we always bring her up because, you know, I think that when somebody's willing to help you out, you have to pay that forward, and that's what makes the scene great, you know. And that's what I love about this new age of like bands is like all the bands we've played with, like everybody just wants to help each other.
Very awesome. Very supportive people. It's totally different.
It used to be. I remember when I was in school, man, like everybody, it was just like this constant battle to see who was the best band in Delaware. And now it's just
and if they thought you were just a little bit better than them, they wouldn't hire you to do any work because they didn't want you to be seen. You know,
I wouldn't know. Like the music, I think I was telling you earlier before we started rolling, like I look back at like what I thought was acceptable music and what I was super stoked about. And I'm like, dude, why did you put that out? Like, no wonder you can't get anybody to click your links now because like they're so used to you sending that stuff. And now that it's like music I'm really proud of. They're like, no, everybody's been real cool.
I remember a time where like we would go to a show and everybody was supposed to be set like at certain times and dates to be there and stuff like that, and then there would be this one band that was supposed to play first,
and their car broke down.
Intentionally, they
or the drummer didn't get off till
exactly. And then they're like, "Well, I mean, I guess we could play third, you know, if you want us to." And now you're trying to build up a crowd, bro. Like, earn your stripes, carry on. We'll get you there, you know. So. I mean, I feel that.
Honestly, the funniest part about that is like since we've come back, like we've opened quite a few shows because, you know, obviously we're just getting back into the scene. Mm-hmm. We want to play first, maybe not first, but like
so you can get home early.
Yeah, we just played. There was the Heavens Collide tour with this band called Makes My Blood Dance, and they had it so that you could pick your slot, you know, wherever you want to play that night. There was 8 bands playing that night, and I think we picked like 8:30. Because I'm like, dude, every time we play Bar 13, we're out until 3 o'clock in the morning. So I can't do it anymore. So we got done at 8:30. We stuck around for quite a few bands, and I think I made it home by midnight. And to me, that was amazing. And I was still dead tired the next day.
Yeah, I bet.
We don't mind playing early.
I mean, don't give out locations, but I know that's at least an hour and a half out for you.
Yeah.
Back and forth. So, I mean, that's a lot of riding time after being done at 11.
Oh yeah, our drummer's down south. I mean, he's further south than this, so it's like a 2-hour hike for him to get there.
Yeah.
So I think he cut out right after our set. The rest of us stayed, you know, for a couple bands to make sure that, you know, we supported. And I think we had one guy that represented us for the whole night, Colin. He's music buff.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll just stick it out the whole night, man. I'll catch them all. So we were there in spirit for the whole thing.
Hitting a hotel, right?
Nope. I got home and I think I slept until like 10 o'clock, which is, to me, like, in my later years, that's like sleeping until 3 in the afternoon.
Right.
Like, 10 o'clock's unheard of. So,
right.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed.
Well, any final words? Where can we find you and Pharsalia?
So we are on every major streaming platform. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora Radio, Amazon Music, YouTube, you name it, it's up there. So we also have a couple of videos, some content up on YouTube. We're talking about starting a TikTok. Everybody keeps telling me we should do it. We have a lot of B-roll stuff.
You should do it.
Yeah, we have a lot of B-roll stuff. God, the conversations, I don't know. See, that's the thing. They keep saying we should do it, but I don't know that a lot of the conversations we have on the side that don't make it to the main page are work friendly. Like, they're not safe for work.
Oh, you're going to have to pick through them. But again, AI involved with that. That's what I use. Mm-hmm. We'll record this, and then when we're done and it's finalized, I put the entire track on this AI thing, and it cuts it out into shorts, and you just pick which ones to keep.
Nice.
I don't do, and look, I'm lazy. I do zero work for the shorts, and I just pump them out whenever I can. So I mean,
that part's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it might be something to look into. TikTok has definitely helped. So it might be something to kind of consider.
I'll let him know. We have, Trey, he's military. So every time we bring up TikTok, he's like, no, it's China.
Right.
They're spying on our stuff. I'm like, they can have my riffs.
Yeah, I get that. But I mean, you can still use the shorts just for YouTube shorts or and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's multiple different ways. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. So it might be something to consider just to have, continuous content on the page or whatever like that. Oh, so, well, with that being said, I really appreciate you coming out and doing that.
Thank you for having me.
Pharsalia, the rest of the members, thank you all for having him come out and join me for today.
They don't know.
Okay. He's going to get in trouble. So as for the Recall of the Moment stuff, we did just get a Buy Me a Coffee account. So if you feel like donating to that and helping your boy out with a little bit of finances around here, we could use a little bit extra. So I would appreciate that. We do this podcast once a month, and we release a music video every couple of months. The next one's in October, which is called Ridicule, and it does have a very special guest on it. I'm very happy with it. Till then, peace and love, y'all.